Sis got blah boy, sis got blah boy. Sis got blah boy, sis got blah boy. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? My name is EJ Muscle, back on my BS. Welcome to another episode of Sparks Fitness. Make sure you subscribe to the page for more wrestling and fitness content. So before I destroy this absolutely delicious Cliff protein bar, I'm gonna tell you how we absolutely destroyed shoulders today. Today we worked on shoulder boulders. And with shoulders, you know, I kind of like to try and do a lot, because just like biceps, I feel like shoulders is one of the hardest muscles to help grow and develop and make them big and strong. So I try to do a lot in there to just make sure I am really just demolishing and devastating those shoulders. All right, so the shoulders are broken up into 3 different heads, 4 depending on who you're asking. But you have your front delt, you have your medial delt, and you have your rear delt. And some people like to call this up here the top delt, but whatever. So I made sure that I did several different workouts that's going to target each head and help for the full-on development of my shoulder growth. All right, so I'm going to take you through this workout. So typically whenever I'm starting a shoulder workout, I like to start with a shoulder press, with some type of overhead press. But today I decided that I wanted to warm up and start with some cables. So I did some alternating lateral raises. Alright, so with the lateral raises, it's really good because not only does it help warm up the shoulder and just get that body and muscle group ready to work, but at the same time you're still putting in that work in the shoulders because you're getting that pump early and it's really stimulating them. And just like I told you guys with chest and with biceps, I love cable exercises because it has that constant tension on there and that resistance is staying on there. And so really with these side lateral raises, it's really working that medial delt in there. And this exercise is very important because if you want that 3D look in your shoulders, to really get that nice little ball look on your shoulders right there, you're definitely going to want to make sure you're hitting your lateral raises, whether it's with cables or it's with dumbbells. But for these, I went ahead and just did a solid just 3 sets to warm up. Just went ahead and did the 3 sets to warm up on there. And pretty much just going back and forth with those. You don't have to go super heavy on these. That's the great thing about the side lateral raises. You don't have to go super heavy. You just do a weight that's going to really work the shoulders, and you can keep increasing the weight. I always increase the weight with every exercise that I'm doing with every single set, but you don't have to go super crazy heavy on this one. Okay, so that's what we went ahead and started with those side lateral raises. I got about 3 sets of those, and then it was time to move on. Alright, so what we did next, we got right into seated shoulder press, military press, whatever you want to call it, with dumbbells. Now, jumping back into what I said towards the beginning, I like to really start off really heavy when it comes to the shoulder presses, because anything military press, overhead press is excellent for overall full development of the shoulder. It's really targeting that medial delt as well as that top delt right there, but any pressing movement is the overall development of the shoulder. Okay, and so what we did, went ahead, and I usually start fairly light with this one. I'll usually start with about 45 pounds, just seated military press. And you don't want to go short reps. You want to just try to extend all the way fully and just make sure you're squeezing at the top whenever you're pressing. All right, so for the first set at 45 pounds, typically, again, shooting for about 15 plus, so 15 to 20 reps. But once again, don't stay closed-minded, just go until failure. And so after that, went ahead and increased. I think we got a solid like 5 sets of this exercise. And so went up from 45 to 50 pounds, from 50 to 60, from 60 to 65. And pretty much as I increased, I just pretty much went until I couldn't go anymore. I think with the 50s, I think I did like 12 reps. 55, I might have got like 10. 60, I got 8. And I think at 65, I only pushed out like 6. It was something like that. And then what I did, once I realized I was at my very end and I couldn't press anymore, like going up heavier, I went ahead and reverted back to the drop set. Now, I've talked about drop sets before, and utilizing those drop sets are very important because it's the best of both worlds. A lot of people like to say do heavy weight and low reps, or they say do lightweight and high reps. But if you're just doing heavy weight, increase, and you're just going till failure, and then at the very end when you can't go any heavier and you go back to that lightweight and you just rep out till you can't do anymore, it's the best of both worlds. That is the absolute best way to train, and it has really helped me see a lot of the results that I've saw. So I kept increasing until I made it to about 65-pound dumbbells and went for like 6 reps, and once I couldn't go up any higher, I went back down and dropped to like 40-pound dumbbells, and I repped out to 20+ reps. So pretty much with that. So yeah, then the next movement that we went ahead and got, it was still a overhead press movement. I like to get a solid 3 military presses or over the head press, because like I said, any shoulder press movement is absolutely spectacular for the overall development of the shoulder. So you want to make sure you're doing a lot of different pressing movements in there. And even though they're all being pressed above the head, it's all a different sort of feel whenever you're doing different exercises and targeting different parts of the shoulder, and it's strengthening your muscles and just really helping you get that mind-muscle connection. So it's always good to switch it up. Do not do the exact same exercises every single time. So what we went on to next was a Smith machine, another seated military press. And you know, a lot of people don't like the Smith machine, and it gets a lot of hate. And you know, just people are like, oh well, the Smith machine is easy because it's actually connected and it's not a free weight. Well, of course it's not a free weight, but you know what, me personally, I love the Smith machine. The Smith machine is excellent for several reasons. Just like with the cable, how you have that it's like on a fixed range of motion. It can only go one way. It can only go up and it can only go down. So that fixed range of motion just really helps you with your form, and you can still get an excellent freaking workout using the Smith machine. I don't know why people feel like the Smith machine does not help, or it doesn't work, or it's for chumps. No, y'all know CT Fletcher? Look him up. My man CT loves the Smith machine. Some of the most successful bodybuilders use the Smith machine. So with this one, went ahead and did a seated press again, and this one is just because we just did dumbbells, so we're using the Smith machine sort of like a bar, and it's still targeting that medial and the top portion, of the shoulder. And I think we went for like 4 reps on this one. Went ahead and started with the 45 plates on there and just repped out till failure. I think we might have got a solid 16, 17 reps on there, and then just keep throwing plates on there as you increase. Throw a 5 plate on there, throw a 10 plate on there, throw 15s, throw 20s. You just keep going, keep increasing until it gets so heavy that you can only get a solid 1 or 2 reps. That's how you should be doing these exercises. So then once you're at that highest peak, then you can go ahead and drop down with the drop sets. Drop sets all day. Did a drop set on this one too. I think I dropped down to 40 at the very end after getting, I think it was a solid like 5 or 6 sets on there. Then I just threw 40s on there, and even though it is light, it really does humble you because your shoulders are so fatigued and so tapped out that is to the point where something that's normally super light for you is actually very much a challenge because your shoulders are so fatigued and tired. But still repped out for a solid like maybe 14, 15 reps on that one, and they were a struggle. Once you get to that very end, your body and your mind is just so used to increasing on every single set. Once you confuse your body and drop down to that lower weight, it's going to confuse it, throw it off, and at the same time, you're still repping out, burning out to really get that nice tone going on there. So again, the best of both worlds. Forget all that, you know, low reps with heavy weight and freaking the other thing, lightweight with high reps. Forget all that. Trust me on this. Just do this, and it's definitely going to work out for you. Cool. So next we went ahead and did one more pressing movement. This time it was a standing movement. Now we didn't do anything that was alternating for press movements just yet, so I wanted to make sure we went ahead and got that in. So what we did, we went ahead and went over to the chest press machine. That's usually for your upper chest, and we stood up and we were just doing standing overhead press, one arm at a time. Now, the reason why I absolutely love the standing pressing movements is because it really is a lot more effective for the entire body. Now, seated pressing movements are the absolute best for targeting your shoulders, but standing pressing movements actually help with multiple parts of your body. Now let me explain. So of course, you're targeting the shoulders. It's still a press movement, so it's still attacking those shoulders. That's the main thing that is working. But while you are standing, it's really also strengthening your legs, because your legs got to be stable and balanced while you're doing that pressing movement. So they have to be on just a fixed foundation, just really stable there, so that you're not wiggling and wobbling all over the place. Helps with balance. Also, while you're doing those pressing movements and you're standing there, your core is tightening up. Okay, you're keeping your core nice and tight to also, you know, keep a good base and keep good balance on there. So that's strengthening up the abs at the same time. And there's a little bit of back going on in there, but you don't want to get your back too involved, because if it gets too heavy and you find yourself leaning way back, you don't want to hurt yourself. But basically, doing a standing press movement is really going to help with other parts of the body, mostly the abs and the legs. So it's really good for you. So with those standing press alternating, with those, I think we started with the 45 plates, increase 5, 10. Sort of like what the Smith machine just went up, I think 5-10 pounds every set, and I think we only got like 4 sets in that one, because that's when the shoulders really were starting to cry when it came to these pressing movements, you know. So then of course we went in and did a drop set at the very end, super lightweight, and just repped it out till we couldn't get no more. Alright, so moving on to what we did next. Now it was time for supersets. Now, supersets are going to be your best friend for developing the shoulder. Any part of the body for that matter. But for this one, what we went ahead and did is we went back to the dumbbells, and we went ahead and did side laterals standing, and we did front raises with a barbell. So pretty much started with like 20-pound dumbbells. And just like with the cables towards the beginning, you don't need super heavy weight when you're doing these side lateral raises. If you're strong enough to do these with 40 or 50 pound dumbbells, that's totally fine. Do you? But if you can't go that heavy, if you can only do like 15, 17.5 or 20 or something like that, that's totally fine to do that, because you're still going to get the work as long as you're repping it out. And now this exercise, high reps are the best, because it's really, like I said, it's going to get you that ball, that really thick shoulder, shredded shoulder on there. So what we were doing is we went ahead and did one set of side laterals, went 20 plus reps. With side laterals, I always want to go 20 plus reps, because that's when it really starts hurting. And immediately after you are done with those, set those down, pick up your barbell, and go right into front raises, really targeting the front delts right there, really strengthening them up. And so that was really good, because I think that one might have only been like 3 sets, because of all the pressing movements we were getting kind of fatigued on there. But it's an excellent superset, because once again, you're confusing the mind and the body. The body's just expecting you to keep doing the same movement, but you're changing it up a bit. And not only you're working the medial delts there, but then you're switching right away and working the front delts, and you're just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that's why the superset is just excellent, because you're just strengthening 2 different parts of the shoulder, while at the same time tapping the shoulder out and fatiguing it while it's still putting in that work. So that exercise is probably my favorite shoulder exercise, because it's a superset, and it's so tough. Even if you're going lightweight on that, it's just so tough to do, just going back and forth. So that one's definitely going to be a key point to building those shoulders. Alright, so coming towards the end here, we always finish up with rear delts. Okay, rear delts are very important, and a lot of people forget about them because they're behind you. You can't see them. So this one was also a superset. So what we were doing, we sat on the pec deck machine, and we were doing the rear delt flies there that really target the rear delt. See, it's also hard to tell, because, you know, if you flex from the front and somebody's flexing their shoulders and you're seeing it like looking really popping out and shredded from the side, that's the rear delt working there. That's all that is that rear delt. But we were doing the rear delt flies there, and then right away, once you're finished with that set, you're gonna have you a pair of dumbbells right beside you, and you're just going to bend over, and you're gonna go right into the rear delt flies with the dumbbells. Both of these are going to target and shred up the rear delt back there. And you know, it's super important, and a lot of people do not do rear delts because when you think of shoulders, you think of pressing movements, you think of laterals, front and side raises, but nobody ever thinks of the rear delt. But if you really want that 3D look, you want your shoulders to pop out, and you want that big old ball on your shoulder, you are really gonna make sure, you're gonna wanna make sure that you are really incorporating these rear delts in your workout. Like I said, if you don't like how it feels because it kind of throws off the pump on your shoulder, do them at the very end. That's exactly why I do them at the end, because you're getting so much work on, you know, the front and the medial and the top portion of your shoulders, then you just don't want to switch to the back because it kind of starts feeling like it's fatiguing your back. So do them at the very end, which is totally fine, but just make sure you do not skip those rear delts. Very important. All right, then the final thing that we did is we went ahead and did some lat raises. Okay, so what I want to tell everybody right now, do not neglect the trap queens. These traps up here, they the trap queens. Do not neglect them, because once them bad boys look thick and look cut, man, you just look dangerous. Like, look at all of these super hard bodybuilders that have them giant delts. Even wrestlers, Goldberg, Batista, bodybuilders, you see Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, they all have those massive traps. So what you can do, since you're at the very end and by now you are really tapped out and just ready to go home and get you some food, then you can either do this with dumbbells or a barbell. I say you can go and just grab the heaviest weight you can and just rep out. That's what I did today. If I'm not quite tapped out yet, then I'll go ahead and do a solid 3 sets of shoulder raises. But you know, since you're at the very end, just go ahead and grab those super heavy weights and just rep out as much as you can. As much as you can, just pump those and get those raises going up there. But whatever you do, do not neglect the trap queens. Do not. It's gonna help your entire body and those shoulders look excellent. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got for today. That's everything that we went through for the shoulders. And you know, like I said, I know shoulders are kind of tough because that's another body part where not only is it tough to make them feel sore, but it's tough for them to grow and develop unless you have good genetics. If you don't have good genetics, then you really gotta beat the crap out of those shoulders until you make sure that they're growing. I don't have great genetics, so everything that I do, I have to work extra hard for. So supersets, rear delts, trap queens, make sure you're not neglecting any of those things, and make sure that you are training shoulders, I'd say twice a week, but it all depends on what your goal is. But me personally, I say train shoulders twice a week. And for those who are really just looking for bigger arms and that look for huge arms, shoulders are going to play a big part in that too. Anybody that you see flex, you're going to see that cut there on their shoulder. You know, whether it's a front flex or a double bicep pose, you're going to see just how cut their shoulder is leading into their arm. So shoulders is very important, and it's one of my favorite days personally to train at all times. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. I thank you so much for sitting here and listening to me go blah 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 and rambling, but I hope this was helpful for some of you. I'm gonna drop the entire workout down below in the description in the video. Alright, so for more wrestling and fitness content, please hit that subscribe button, like and share this video. And if you have any suggestions for other parts that you want me to train or other workout videos you want me to do, drop it in the comments below. That is totally fine. Or you can shoot me a personal message. You can follow me on Instagram at @TheRealEJSparks. And more fitness content and wrestling content is coming at you faster than a jackrabbit on moonshine. So guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been another episode of Sparks Fitness. I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye.